Hey everyone, Chris Colotti, Principal Technologist with Cohesity here once more. And I wanted to show you a quick demo of our continuous data protection and how to enable it, as it will be the foundation for site continuity, which was announced earlier this couple months ago. So I wanted to show how you get it set up and just show a couple things about the recovery jobs and how you can pick anything in the continuous data protection job itself. The first thing is we need to make sure that we have what we call a Cdp policy created. So everything in Cohesity runs off of a policy that's then applied to a protection job. So here you can see I've actually got a Cdp policy created, and what I'm going to do is edit it to show the settings within it. Now, like most other policies that we have at Cohesity, you can do all the other things like replication and archives and all these pieces additionally, but for this particular demo, what I want to explain is the incremental backup and the continuous data protection point in time. Basically what we do is, based on your incremental settings, say I've got configured 1 day and retain it for 1 week, we'll take a full snapshot recovery backup 1 time a day. And then we'll retain that for 1 week, and we'll continue that every day. And then from that point on, we will retain for 24 hours our continuous data protection logs. And what we'll see is we'll actually see a timeline on how this works. So once you've actually got this policy created, just understand that you've got your daily snapshot and then your continuous data protection logs. Once that's actually configured, we can do a protection job, which I've actually got configured here, called CDP servers. Now, a couple things to point out within this job. There's a particular button here called CDP, and I'll get into that in a second. But these are your actual runs that happen every day. So this is your snapshot run. So if we actually look into this, we'll see our regular job runs like every other Cohesity job in the logs. If I go back one screen and I pull up the CDP option, we'll actually see that 4 of these have the IO filter attached. So the first time one of these jobs is run, there is an IO filter that actually gets installed onto the ESX host to capture all the continuous data. If it's not attached, it will say it's not attached. If it's installing, it'll say it's installed. And if it's in progress, you'll actually get that up at the top. So here I've actually got 5 individual objects. If I look at one of these, now I can see my timeline. And this is what's really interesting about the recoveries. So the blue dot indicates the point in time snapshot. So if I actually go back to the first, you'll notice there's a blue dot, but there's nothing else in the timeline, and all the way through any of these other days until I get to today, where we actually see a little bit of green on the left and a little bit of green on the right. And what that means is that's where my continuous data protection logs are available to me. So instead of having to go back to a 24-hour or a 10-hour or a 1-hour snapshot backup, I have got every single point in time in between. And my logs are retained for at least a day, so that if I got hit by ransomware right now, I could go back as early as the last CDP log. So let's actually do that for a second. So if I want to actually recover this virtual machine, I can click recover. And the first thing I'll point out is here's that timeline again. So right now it's picking the latest incremental snapshot, which was done at 3 a.m. Well, let's say I don't want that. I actually want to move this all the way out to the very last snapshot log, which was taken at 2:53 and 26 seconds, which was less than a minute ago, according to my watch here, as of the time of recording this. So I can actually pick that point in time and hit save, and it will actually grab that specific log and then apply that to the recovery. For the rest of the recovery, it's just like everything else that Cohesity does. I can pick my source, I can grab the data store that I want to put it on, and I'm going to actually put this in a demo restores folder, and I'm just going to put my name on it here. So from here, we can actually do all the same normal recovery steps. The biggest difference is I'm not going back to a single incremental. I'm actually picking an exact point in time. So once again, let's say we determine that ransomware hit at exactly 12 o'clock. I could bring this back down to, according to this slider, 11:58. And we'd know we'd be just prior to the ransomware attack. And we can actually pick that. So instead, I'm going to change it. I'm going to go to that 11:58 one because that's our scenario. And then I can go ahead and hit finish. And this will actually start the standard recovery job. Now, everything from this point on is the normal Cohesity recovery process. Let me flip over and show you that for a second. So here, just like any Cohesity recovery, we can see that we've actually created the virtual machine. in the location where I told it to, which was this demo folder. We've gone ahead and we've powered it on, and we're doing our normal recovery operation where we're actually relocating this virtual machine to the data store which I chose. Now, this is no different than the rest of our recovery process. The only difference is the point in time that I was able to choose, which was very, very specific. And that can be a very good advantage to a lot of customers that need that continuous level of protection in case they don't have recovery windows or backups that go back far enough. A lot of people are do dailies or they do hourlies. This gives that continuous level of protection. So we can see the relocation is completed. We've cleaned up we're going to clean up the Cohesity data store, but you can see the VM is no longer on that particular data store. If we look at the virtual machine, it's now back on its original storage post-migration. And if we toggle back over, we'll see that the job will actually be completed, and we could run this as many times as we wanted to until we found the right point in time. Even as a test, we could run a point in time capture to see if we truly were ahead of the issue that hit us. Now we can see that recovery is complete from that specific point in time. It only took about 5 minutes to fully recover, about 6 minutes to fully recover it. But remember, with our instant mass recovery, it was actually available to interact with right away. So we could have actually seen whether this was a decent backup or not, and then decided, while this process was finishing up, we could have picked another point in time and started another recovery anywhere in that timeline. So in summary, this is a really powerful feature for customers to start to implement, and it will be, again, the foundation of our site continuity component, which will be coming out fairly soon.